The SVS 16 Ultra Series subwoofers are legendary for their performance to price ratio. But not everybody can afford a flagship subwoofer, even one that's generally regarded to be an excellent value. If you're looking for a really good subwoofer that's not quite in the premium price range, what subwoofer should you pick? Now, SVS makes some excellent full-range speakers. We recently did a review of the SVS Ultra Evolution bookshelf speaker. We'll link to that below. But SVS actually started as a subwoofer company. They have a lot of expertise in that category, and they make some really good ones, including this SB-3000 that we'll talk about today. Editor's Choice Award, ISA Best Product Award for subwoofers, Reviewer's Choice, Top Pick Award. This subwoofer has gotten a tremendous amount of positive praise. I'm Joe. Let's meet the SVS SB-3000. Now this is a sealed subwoofer, so there's no port or base radiator, and it's got a 13-inch driver, very robust for this kind of price range. It's roughly a 15-inch cube, although actually this depth dimension is a little closer to 17 inches, and it weighs just over 50 pounds, so it's a pretty hefty one. You can get it for $11.99 in this highly polished black gloss finish. It's $100 less in the black ash finish. And if you've got a projector that's going to be kind of bright and reflective, you actually might be better off with the black ash finish because it won't reflect any light. So what does adding a good quality subwoofer to your music system or your movie system do for you? Remember, it's not just about giving you more bass. It's about giving you better quality bass, especially adding those bottom octaves that most speakers are going to really struggle with. So think those lowest notes on a pipe organ, for example, or modern day synthesizer, certainly movie explosions as well. Almost no bookshelf speakers can actually give you those bottom octaves, but even a good quality tower speaker oftentimes can't give you those bottom octaves. Remember too that you're generally in a music system trying to position the loudspeaker to give you that great image so you really can see and hear almost the performers in front of you. Well, if you're setting up your towers for best imaging, what are the odds that that speaker is also sitting in the best place in the room to recreate bass at your seated listening position? Very low, because what's best for imaging may not at all be best for creating bass. So adding a subwoofer can really give you an experience that even, again, really good towers and bookshelves just simply can't give you. And you should be able to feel as well as hear really deep bass notes. The second benefit of adding a good subwoofer to your system, you may be surprised at how much richer and fuller mid-range instruments sound, especially your favorite vocalists. Remember that when we listen, we're hearing not only fundamental notes, but all the harmonics above it. And adding a subwoofer to your system, you'll probably be surprised at how much better the mid-range can get. The third benefit of adding a good subwoofer, the sound stage typically gets wider and deeper. And we're always in search of that sound stage that kind of makes you feel like you're right there at the jazz or blues club. A good subwoofer can really help with that. Now, what are the benefits of twin subwoofers, adding two instead of one? As you can see that we've done here in our Timonium, Maryland store in the loft area, we've got a subwoofer in wall to the left and a subwoofer in wall to the right of the TV screen. Well, for one thing, twin subwoofers will typically give you an even broader and deeper sound stage than you got from just adding that first subwoofer. But secondly, twin subs can really help eliminate any tendency towards localizing the subwoofer. Remember that you don't want to hear where the bass is coming from. That will simply be distracting. With twin subwoofers, we can typically give a much more even distribution of bass throughout the room. That's really beneficial because with one subwoofer, you may be able to hear peaks, areas in the room where the bass sounds quite heavy, and valleys or nulls, areas in the room where there appears to be almost no bass at all. You really don't want the person on the left side of the couch getting a great balanced bass performance and the person on the right side of the couch hearing almost no bass at all, and that can happen with just one subwoofer. Twin subs really help us even out the bass throughout the room. So we talked about bass energy being distributed unevenly depending on where you are in the room. Let's give you a couple examples that you can actually do in your own home to demonstrate this. As I back into the corner, listen to the tone of my voice, and as I get all the way in the corner, you can hear how it's just a little bit deeper or more bass heavy there versus when I come back out towards you. That's uneven distribution of bass energy. Bass is almost always heaviest in the corner. Second thing you can do, try putting on in your own home system a heavy, steady bass track and simply walk around the room a little bit. There will be areas where you'll notice, oh, the bass is much stronger here, and other areas where there's considerably less bass. Expressed in decibels, those swings of bass energy from areas where it's heavy to areas where it's light can literally be as much as 20 to 30 dB. That's a massive difference in the amount of bass energy simply on where you're seated versus where the bass generating elements, speakers, subwoofer, speakers and subwoofer, are located. That's why it's really helpful to have a friend when you're trying to locate the subwoofers, because you'll want to be sitting and listening to some good bass energy while your friend is moving the subwoofer or speakers around a little bit, because there will be a point where it will sound really good to you, and you want that point to be where your seated listening position is. If you like music and movies, we do too. So please go ahead and like and subscribe. That helps us out a lot. And click that little bell icon. We're glad to have you come along for the ride. Now, let's talk about some of the things that make the SB-3000 such a strong value. The first thing we want to talk about is SVS's Bluetooth app, which is going to make it easy to dial in your subwoofer with your main speakers. It's Bluetooth, so easy to connect. It's free, that's nice. You don't need to use a laptop. It's really easy to use it, and that benefit of being able to blend the sub with the main speakers is a huge one. Second, let's talk about this cabinet. Remember that this driver can hammer some pretty heavy-duty bass energy. The cabinet in such a subwoofer has to be every bit as good as the driver and the amplifier and the crossover network and so forth, because when we're pushing a lot of bass energy with this driver, we don't want the cabinet to vibrate. If it does, we're not just hearing these clean, tight bass notes from the driver, we're hearing the cabinet adding its own energy, and we don't want that. SVS did a nice job. This front baffle is double thickness MDF. They've used good internal bracing. And even the grill, it's this very heavy-duty mesh grill so that it doesn't vibrate, assuming, of course, that you'll have the grill over the subwoofer to protect the driver. The third thing that makes this subwoofer such a good value is this excellent 13-inch driver that SVS designed for SB-3000. First off, the aluminum cone has an excellent stiffness to mass ratio, so it can move quickly, and more importantly, it can recover quickly. Because remember, we want it to make a bass note and come back fast so it can make the next bass note. They also use a flat edge-wound voice coil, and that really kind of helps keep the driver under control. This is an almost 25-pound magnet, and it is a beast for this kind of price range. This is the sort of driver I think that you often see in a $2,000 to $3,000 subwoofer. Now, the fourth reason why this is such a good value is that it's got a great amplifier. Every really good driver needs a great amp to keep it under control. This is an SVS designed amplifier. It's an 800-watt amplifier RMS. They call it the Sledge platform. It's capable of 2,500-watt peaks for brief periods. It's also a Class D amplifier, which is really nice because this is a sealed subwoofer and you're going to pump tremendous bass energy in here at times. We don't want heat building up inside the cabinet too badly. Class D amplifiers run cool, so it's a good solution. Now they've paired that with a fully discrete MOSFET output stage. So you get the twin benefits of a very cool running, extremely powerful amplifier that's good, that has an almost analog-like sound quality to it, because of the fully discrete MOSFET output stage they used. SVS also uses a 50 megahertz high-res DSP to do all the signal processing. That's an expensive product, but it really helps them get the most out of this combination of amplifier and driver, because remember that every subwoofer is a complete self-contained system, and all these components, amp, driver, cabinet, crossover network, bass management, all these things have to work together to give you the most bass output for the money. Now, no matter how good of a job the engineers did with designing the subwoofer, you still have to integrate it with your main speakers. You've got to put it into your system. And that's where, frankly, a lot of subwoofers fall down. Because if you don't integrate your subwoofer or subwoofers, because multiples are a great idea, in a way that they're well blended with the main speakers, then the sub is going to call attention to itself and distract you from the music. And we don't want that. But if your subwoofer or subwoofers are well integrated with your main speakers, subs are one of the best ways we know of to take a system's performance from good to better, or from better to great. Why? Because people often, when they're making a purchase, economize a little bit on the speakers, not necessarily getting the one they really wanted, which often means the lesser expensive speaker isn't quite as bass capable as the better one. Well, this is a great way to come back and take care of that. And the good news is that SVS has this app that's relatively easy even for a novice to use, so that you can get your subwoofer or subwoofers well blended with the main speakers. So the first thing that's really cool about this, it's a Bluetooth app, no computer needed. You can do it from your seated listening position. Remember that if you have to get up off your couch or your lazy boy, walk over to the subwoofer, manually make adjustments to phase, polarity, EQ, whatever, and then come sit back down, your sonic memory is probably not going to be able to really let you know, did that get a little better, a little worse, is it the same? The fact that you can make all those adjustments right here, you can hear what you're doing as you're doing it. Oh, that's a little better. Oh, that's a little better still. Oh, that's too much bass. Excellent. A second thing we love about the app, not only can you make changes from your preferred listening position, but it has presets. So typically, if you're listening to a movie, you might want a little bit heavier, a little bit more bass emphasis than what's going to sound most natural for music. So they give you a preset for movie and one for music, and one they simply label custom. A lot of times for people that becomes a night mode, where you really want the subwoofers toned way down so you don't wake your sleeping children or wake up the neighbors or anything like that. But the cool part about these presets is that they both have already preset them for you, and you can make any changes that you want to further fine-tune it. So one last thing to show you about the app, they even have a contact SVS support where they give you their phone number, email, all these different ways to contact them. If you did get into all this and it started really confusing you, of course you can call us here at Gramophone, but you can also contact SVS directly if you want. And in our experience, their customer support is terrific. So let's talk a little bit about our listening tests with the SB-3000. So first, the John Ruder cut Requiem, Pie Jesu. About 50 seconds in, the whole chorus comes in behind the soloist, and the pipe organ starts to come in at the same time. It sounded really nice and full with the SB-3000. One of my favorite songs from the 90s is from the band Dada. There's a song called Dim, in which they've got a very steady, rich bass track, and there's plenty of kick drum behind it. It's a real driving rock and roll kind of a song. SB-3000 handled it beautifully. Third, Chris Jones, No Sanctuary Here. He's got that really deep, rich, sonorous kind of voice thing going on. Sounded really sweet with SB-3000. I would say that sub can handle almost anything you throw at it and sound really good. Okay, so let's take a look at the back panel of the SB-3000. First off, we always like to see the IEC power socket. They give you a pretty beefy power cord, but you can choose to go to an upgraded power cord if you want. Here's your on-off button. You see the blue lights light up. This is an RCA only input from the receiver, or or integrated amp, whatever it is. If you really want balanced connections, we love that, but you got to go up to a better quality SVS from this level. I love it that they've got the SoundPath wireless audio adapter connection here, and we'll put a link to that video where they talk about the accessories, because not everybody can get a connection over to the sub. So you can connect wirelessly to the system that way. And let's just show those lights again. Volume up and down, of course. And you've got auto on off. You can choose to use that or not. You do have a 12 volt trigger here, by the way, if you'd rather use 12 volt trigger. And here's your low pass choice and your phase choices. Again, if you wanted to do these sorts of things from the back panel of the subwoofer, but as you saw with the excellent app, you'll almost certainly be doing this from the app rather than from the back panel. If you're looking for a subwoofer that works really well for music and movies, in a relatively compact package that you can adjust from your easy chair to blend it in with your system, put the SB-3000 from SVS on your short list. To learn more about SVS and all our great brands, visit Gramophone.com, and to pick up your own SVS subwoofer, visit Sky by Gramophone, where you'll always get a secure checkout with fast and free shipping straight to your door. We'd love to meet you in person, so if you can, come shop one of our stores in Timonium, Columbia, and Gaithersburg, Maryland. We really appreciate your support of our channel. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.